Today I'm going to teach you how to read a skincare label. Hi there, Manuela Marcheggianni from Isomers Skincare, and today we're going to talk about labels. We're going to talk about skincare labels, and we're going to talk about what does all this stuff mean and how to read a label and what is it that is in the skincare itself. So first of all, a couple of rules around labeling and labeling requirements. So what we do at Isomers Laboratories is we're vertically integrated. So we're cosmetic chemists, we do product development, we do research, we create formulations, and then we manufacture the formulas ourselves. So everything is done under one roof in one building. So we're vertically integrated, which means we also do the labeling. We also create the label. We have to know the regulatory. We have to do all of this. So this is not theoretical, what I'm talking to you about. This is actually what we've been doing for over almost 30 years, for over 20 years, 25 years. So when you're looking at skincare and you're looking at what's on the skincare, you'll notice you've got the brand name, and then you're going to have what the product does or the product name, okay? You're gonna have your fill line, so that's gonna tell you the volume of the skincare, what's in there. So all of these are legal requirements. On the back or on a side panel or on the box that is accompanying your product, you will have a legal line, and that's going to tell you who manufactured it, where it was made. It gives you some information of an address. It tells you many times if it's how to dispose of it, or also, and it may also give you an expiry date. So it's going to give you some environmental information as well. It's going to give you, may or may not give you directions. And then it's going to give you the ingredient panel. So what is in the formula? The ingredient panel or listing of ingredients is important because it tells you what's in a formula. It also gives you information on what is the most abundant thing, not necessarily the most important thing, but the most abundant thing in your formula. So how the ingredient panel is made, is how it's listed, is from the highest concentration to the lowest concentration. All right, so it goes from something like 100 all the way down to 1. And the reason why I say 1 and not 0 is that 1% or less, those ingredients could be in any order that you want them to be in at the 1% mark. So what is the ingredient panel telling you? It's telling you what there's more of, what there's less of. It also will give you a little bit of information about the actives that are in there, the cosmetic actives and the ingredients that are in there. But there's a few things to understand about ingredient panels. Just because you're looking at the listing of ingredients and they're in a certain order, it doesn't mean that something is better formulated or worse, formulated. It doesn't mean that something is more active or less active. It doesn't, because those things are not really that evident. I've heard people say that there's some rules, like when you get to the 6th or the 8th ingredient, anything after that is the active. And when you get to the bottom, that's going to be the least effective thing in the formula. Those really scientifically are not true, okay? A lot of factors go into making a formulation. What you want to do is when you're looking at the ingredient panel is when you get a little bit more familiar with your ingredients, you're going to see what the main element is, for example, if it's water. And water is a universal solvent. I've heard a lot of people say that water is bad, you shouldn't be formulating with water. That's a lot of baloney because water is a universal solvent, and just because some marketing magic happens where they call it green tea or aquas vitas or, something else, and they try to camouflage, they disguise water and make it out to be a fruit extract or a tree or a tea or something like that. That's just game playing, and that's really not science. That is just trying to use a marketing advantage by saying you don't have water in this formula, but you really do. Then what you're also going to notice about the ingredient panel when you get lower down on the bottom, especially at that 1% mark. So now we know, for example, something like a fragrance, something like a paraben, something like a preservative. Those are usually at 1% or less. So if you can identify down in your ingredient panel any of those ingredients, you know that in that area, whatever is after it is less than 1%, okay, or around the 1% mark. But it doesn't mean, say for example, you're looking at a certain peptide or a certain antioxidant and it happens to be lower on the ingredient panel, it doesn't mean that is not effective. Some formulations require, especially some pHs of the formula, some other cofactors or ingredients require other ingredients to be used at a lower dosage. And that actually optimizes the formula. So sometimes we're trying to create an environment, a friendly environment that boosts all the ingredients and puts them in their optimal delivery, optimal concentration, and has a synergy in a formula. So I guess what you really want to understand is it goes from the highest to the lowest. At 1%, it could be in any order. What you want to do is just become familiar with certain chemical names and certain chemical ingredients and know some of their functions, like water is a universal solvent or diluent. It's also important to have a preservative in there. You know, when people say our formula is preservative free, maybe they have something else in there that works as a different agent as well as a preservative, and they can claim preservative free, but you always need a preservative in your formula. Also look for ingredients that like fragrances. I always check for fragrances because I don't like to formulate with fragrance. I don't like fragrance on my skin. So this is something that I look for because fragrance truly is a random wild card. There's really no health benefit to a fragrance, right? There's no skin benefit to a fragrance. So we don't formulate with fragrance. We know how to keep it out. That's something to look forward to or something to look for. But the other thing is, when you're thinking about looking at skincare, remember, sometimes if it's too high in the ingredient panel, that may not be a good thing. Because, when they say the poison is in the concentration, the toxicity is in the concentration. So there are things that we need to have in the formula at lower levels and at higher levels. But just know that that's how an ingredient panel is put together. That's how a cosmetic packaging is put together with all of the legal requirements and information. And we usually utilize, that's another thing, on the panel, it's proper form to use the INCI, a name, the international nomenclature, that gives you the actual terminology you should use. So we don't necessarily use marketing names or trade names on an ingredient panel. We use the international nomenclature, and that's really important as well because that standardizes things across the board. I hope you enjoyed learning about labeling and how labels are put together and the requirements that are there. All of this is there to keep you safe, keep you informed, and make sure that everything is done in an authentic, transparent way so you know what you're putting on your skin and you can actually, based on the ingredients, kind of know what to expect from a formulation. If you have any more questions or comments, please feel free to send them in. And as always, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we look forward to talking to you soon.